The 2 Count, where comedy meets wrestling. Please comment, share, and like, and if you're watching the live stream, join us with your comments and questions. And now here are the hosts of The 2 Count, comedian John Russell, and wrestling broadcaster Big Ace.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you, Big Ace.
Hello.
Show it off.
Oh yeah, that's right. We were talking. I had my carpal tunnel surgery.
Carpal tunnel.
Can I see
That
it?
doesn't look good.
It's not great. It's not great.
You had it on. You had it on Friday.
Yeah, I had it on Friday, and I still really can't do much with my right hand. I can move it around, but the big thing is there's no strength still. Like I haven't started to regain any strength yet. So like I can't really do anything with it. So
Gotcha.
yeah, I didn't take enough time off from work. What's up, Dan?
Hey Dan, good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, I didn't take enough time off from work, so unfortunately, I'm gonna have to take a couple extra days probably. So I feel bad for them. I feel bad that I wasn't smarter enough about this. I don't know why I thought I was gonna be like, oh, this carpal tunnel stuff. So the way they do it now is so easy. It's gonna be.
So you feel bad for the people at work?
Well, I just feel bad that I have to take extra days off that they weren't planning on this week.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Because
well, let's face it, your job's not that important.
I wish I could say that, but you tell my coworkers that, and they're gonna tell you for an hour why you're wrong. And it's true. It is true. I mean, I'm in charge of payroll and scheduling for my department. It's kind of important.
Yeah, okay. I guess that is important.
So yeah, man, and yeah, so that just bummed me out. I mean, it just bummed me out that I just had to do that because I'm a planner. You know what I mean? Like I thought I'd be good to go by this morning. I was like, dude, Tuesday morning I had Friday off. It was done Friday. Take Monday off. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, just relax, chill, do whatever I got to do. And we'll be good to go. But it's looking like it is more of like a 7-day, like 1 full week from when they do the surgery to really start getting back to normal.
And then when do you get the other side done?
Well, that's just it. I got to go back in 2 weeks for a follow-up on this. And
so you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay with that one before they do the other one.
Not really, because to be honest, if I wasn't going to do my left hand, they were like, yeah, we have that 2-week checkup with you scheduled, but we'll probably just call you like the day of and be like, do you want to come in or are you good? They're like, really, it's not really important to come in for it. But I was like, but I want to do the left side. I want to be done with it. So then they're like, well, no, then keep it. We'll have you come in and just do another little quick consultation and then get the date. But I got stuff coming up in August too, though. So
we all have stuff coming up, and it's all going to get canceled. Yeah,
mine isn't though.
Oh well, good for you.
Like I mean, it's nothing big. Like I might have a wedding gig. I'm going on a little certain close group of knit friends. Oh yeah, little weekend getaway, stuff like that. To where I don't want to be like I said, here we are. This happened on Friday. Today's Tuesday. I thought I'd be good to go, and unfortunately was not. Did not get to work today. Will probably not get to work tomorrow, and just thought I was going to be a way quicker return rate on this. You know what I mean? I thought I could work through it.
Well, we knew about your surgery, and I have to have some back surgery on the 31st of July. So our show's going straight to hell.
Fixed up. We're going
to be cutting shit off of us and
just minor repairs,
tying knots and shit. And
we gotta get ready. We're gonna blow up soon. So this is.
I know. I'm so
like we're material. We're not all real anymore now.
Oh my god. Well, now he's got a plastic eye. So that's a whole nother. God. No man. I don't want to start off bad, but
at least it wasn't CGI. We'll get to our best and worst of that pay-per-view in a little bit.
So now I am
assuming going to be laid out though, because yours is your back. Like I said, my hand, like I didn't even get put to sleep. I was able to watch them do this.
Yeah,
I chose to watch on the screen. I did get a glance when he was like in there with the tool digging.
Yeah,
but like I imagine back, you're getting put to sleep.
I hope so. It's yeah. I don't know. He says, yeah, we would do it. Well, basically, he says we would do it in the. We would be able to do it in the office, but it has a tendency to get really bloody.
Nice.
That's not helpful.
Hell yeah! First blood match.
You know, I mean, my God, let's not lead with that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it has a tendency to be bloody. And plus, I got to go and since it's going to be done in the hospital, in the surgery room, Now I got to go get a COVID test.
Would have been great. Doctor as a wrestling fan, he's like, "How do you feel about color?"
Gig me, baby, gig me.
Talking Blaine, or are we talking the hard way? What do you want?
Yeah, you can take a shit out of my back hard way. I guarantee you. Anyway, so I don't know about you. There was a lot of stuff going on in wrestling. I mean, we didn't talk about it. It's hard for me to remember back to Wednesday, but holy crap, was that Fight for the Fallen awesome?
Yeah, good show.
I mean, so much good stuff in there. So many. The only thing that I had a problem with was Taz throwing the towel in.
Yeah. It was what I don't, I guess I don't, I get it. And I like how they explained it, because the other thing too is AEW does want you to kind of look at them more as actual like sports competition. So I get it. And I get that it plays that role of he's taking care of his investment and live to fight another day. All this. What I don't like is this whole chatter that's going on about, oh, he might get rid of him. He might, like, it happened. Nothing, like, neither one should be saying anything online right now to further that storyline.
Yeah.
Again, to be honest, we can't ignore what's happening on Wednesday nights anymore, and that is there is a ratings war going on between NXT and AEW, essentially WWE against AEW. So if you're quiet about it and left it at that, and maybe had Cage sell that he was pissed at the end of that match a little bit more than he did, because really that's what I was looking for. As soon as he threw the foul in, I looked to Cage to see like what his reaction was. Is he going to go off? Because if he is, then this whole him and Taz ain't going to probably last long. If they go the other way, or they just don't acknowledge it, then okay, now I'm interested to see what the real reaction is going to be for this. I have to watch Dynamite, where if you start doing this whole, what is it? I think Brian Cage did an interview where he said that he almost got rid of Taz that night, or is still thinking about relieving Taz of duties. And it's like, in the Wednesday Night Wars you got going on, is that really the smartest thing to put out online, to say that, when if you keep it quiet and keep it on the show? And again, this is just social media has killed how things happen nowadays, because back in the Attitude Era, when you didn't have social media and it was more just actual websites, you wouldn't hear a lot about this, right. Not as often. It wouldn't be as easy, where more people are going to tune in, where now it's like, well, we already know that he's kind of like on the fence. I could just watch the highlight and see what he ends up doing. I'm going to watch this segment of NXT now, because you don't coming on that segment, depending whatever segment they're lining up against. But I don't know. It was weird. But I guess I don't. Again, it'd be weird if they start. I don't know. Moxley, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, he didn't, because he didn't. It was one of those things where, like, I mean, he barely squeaked out of that match. But the fact that they pulled Brian off of that so quick, because now it appears to be Darby Allin is the next feud for Brian Cage.
Yeah.
This is one thing I don't think AEW is perfected yet, and that is sometimes you can let a program go than one match.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's often wanted. I'm trying to remember. So a lot of this shit with just the AEW championship could have been longer programs. And I get that they're new and they're trying to just keep people viewers and all that. But I mean, again, you still got to give a good product out, where I'm, as a fan, would be still invested in watching another Moxley and Brian Cage match.
Oh gosh, yeah.
It didn't have a clean ending. And maybe that's what they're going to do. I don't know. Is Darby getting a shot at him on this next Dynamite? Do you know?
I believe so.
So then maybe that is what they're going to do. But yeah, it'll be. I mean, it's interesting to see what they do with the whole Taz thing and throwing in the towel. I get it. I like how they did it, how he did it, and the immediate reaction was he's protecting his investment.
Yeah, I feel like for me that Cage or Lance Archer will end up taking that title off. I know, because they kind of had Lance Archer right there and then sort of shuffled him off. And it's a shame because both of those guys.
Cage. I think I think that happened because of Cage, though. Because
I do too.
Archer was the big guy, and then all of a sudden something happened, and it's like, holy shit, we were able to sign Brian Cage. Now he's the big guy. And to be honest, between the two, if you're going to put those guys side by side, appearance wise, and even just how they work in the ring, I'm Brian Cage all day.
Yeah, I think so. I mean? So here's the thing. I think, because I haven't seen them side by side to this point, I think Lance Archer is actually taller.
Oh yeah, he might be a little bit taller,
quite a bit.
Yeah. But he's not as
yeah.
You know what I mean? And then the other thing too, though, is if you look at how those two move in the ring, Cage is the better athlete.
Oh yeah, definitely.
By far. I mean, he's someone that would be able to do a lot more holding that title than Archer would. Also, Taz, I feel, brings a better vibe to that than Jake did.
Right.
I think the other thing is, I think they had to pull Jake back a little bit too, because I think
definitely.
He was getting a little. I still think that segment with Brandy and the Snake was a little over the line a little.
Yeah.
I feel like that didn't need to be as I don't know, extreme as it was. And you notice they haven't let him talk a lot lately.
Right.
So I don't know. And the same thing though with Tully's taking, like, they're using these guys, Tully, Jake, Arn, these old timers, and I feel bad that I just said old timers. I mean, these are Hall.
But that's what they are. They're Hall of Famers, but that's what they are.
I mean, they're not. These guys are nothing to, bat your eyes at. Like, these guys they were the top of their world at one point.
Absolutely.
So I mean, they're nothing to laugh at, but they're not really letting those guys do much right now. They come out with the people. You got Tully scouting. You've got Arn doing what he does with Cody, the coaching. He's kind of out there for the matches. He's not out there for all of them. And then you got, again, Jake, who's coming out with Archer, who, again, Archer seems to be getting kind of a back seat right now, where Taz has been way more involved. He's given his predictions. Even before Cage, they did some segments where Taz would break down abilities of the AEW superstars, particularly going into some of their pay-per-views. I think he did that. So, I mean, and Annie's commentary on Dark. So, I mean, they were using him for a lot of things anyways. It was like, and I don't know why, but I'm drawing a blank on our guest last name. Corey, that's right, Corey. It's like Corey mentioned, like that Taz would eventually like get more involved with it, and I don't know if he'll get more involved physically, but I think overall he's more involved with the company,
right?
And it just feels like they're going to probably push him a little bit further than they're pushing these other guys that we're seeing right now. Now, the wild card is now we have our first woman. Maybe I shouldn't say it. Yeah, no, I'll say it. Our first woman manager in AEW. Because Brandy still wrestles. They're all, Penelope Ford still wrestles. Leva Bates still wrestles, even though they walk to the ring with somebody. Where like Vicky's the first women's manager, which is a great addition. Yeah,
I think so. I think she's totally annoying, and I think that'll do Nyla Rose wonders.
I thought it was hilarious. I've seen people react to that and say she was so awful in WWE. I hated her on my TV. Why would you hire her, AEW? And it's like, because you hate her.
She's doing her job.
Doing her job. The sad part is the people who judge the product today but forget what the hell kayfabe was. Like, yeah, I get it. We're in the day and age that it's very much fake as far as predetermined outcomes and planned matches and all that. You can't take away what they're physically doing in the ring. But at the end of the day, though, we know a movie's fake, but for that hour and a half to 2 hours, you still buy in like it's real. So that still should be happening with professional wrestling. And times it does, times it doesn't. Yeah. But the people who complain nowadays when it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, oh, she was so loud and annoying. Why would you actually sign her? Because you're going to tune in to talk about how much you hate her.
Absolutely.
Because she is a freaking heel.
Absolutely.
And the thing about her too, and this is just shows like how good some people are, because if you ever meet Vicky Guerrero in real life, probably one of the nicest women you'll ever meet. Oh, such a sweetheart. I've met her like 2 or 3 times, and both times she couldn't have been any nicer. Like, just a nice person. So it's like, you guys forget, like, it's just funny to see people who watch the product now and judge it so heavily. Yet it's like, you guys forget what the basic principles of professional wrestling is.
She knows her job.
You're supposed to hate someone and you're supposed to cheer for someone.
Yep.
I get that lines are blurred now, and some people may cheer for the guy who initially is probably the bad guy, but at the end of the day, you're still cheering for one over the other. And at the end, that's what this is all is. And it's just hilarious to see people who are like, and that's the thing. We didn't touch on this last week, and I wanted to. Take a drink.
Yeah, have a drink.
You know, we try not to be a negative show. We really do.
We were pretty negative last week.
We were very negative last week. And I wasn't even going to bring that up, but I mean, we were very negative last week. You know, but I mean, it's one of those things though, where an old guest actually, Adam Daly, shout out to Adam, posted something on Twitter a couple nights ago, and he said, he's like, wrestling fans make me sick. And I commented on it. I was like, I hate to agree, but I do. I don't know what shift has happened in the past few years, but the landscape of wrestling fans has definitely changed. And it's been something I've always talked to you about when we're not on the show live. And that is like, dude, I can't watch or listen to other stuff of wrestling when all they do is complain about it and complain about this and that. Where you know, you and I, we've always had the goal of, we want to find the few good things from each product, bring them up and talk about them. We'll say we wish something maybe was done differently, and we'll say if it was crap, but we're not going to dwell on it. We move the hell on and keep it with the positive. But I mean, man, you see some of the stuff these people are talking and saying, and their opinions on workers. And again, I've said this many times on our show. Right now is a great time to be a wrestling fan because there's so much to consume.
Yeah, there's just so much.
And instead of people being grateful, especially in a pandemic era right now, these last few months, where it's like, this has been one of the only things of entertainment still going. Maybe they should be, maybe they shouldn't. I don't know. Not my choice to call, but the thing is, they're still giving us entertainment. No one else is doing that at this moment. So you have to, like, you know, give props on that as a wrestling fan, because you're still getting the thing you love.
Absolutely.
But man, it is so not that way. I see so many negative things, people complaining with each other. It's Dan, you're right. A bunch of entitled whiners out there. Like, it's so crazy because I used to like look forward to WrestleMania every year, dude. You know this. I used to go to most, you know, there was a good chunk of years where I didn't miss them. And that was my week, man. That was like the vacation I took every year. I loved it because I knew I was going to be in a city surrounded by like-minded people. We're all there spending our money on the same thing. We all have passion for the same thing. And majority of my WrestleMania trips were amazing. And I've met amazing people. The last one was 32 Dallas. There were things about that week that were great, things that weren't, as far as just from a fan's point of view, I guess. But seeing all the stuff that's said, seeing all these people and how they talk about the products now has made me even question, like, dude, I used to love to go to WrestleCon and go to all the stuff where I'm at the point now where it's like, I would go to a WrestleCon, I would go to a show, but I wouldn't want to really interact with anybody. And this isn't a pandemic. This is, even if this wasn't going, and it's because I don't want to hear people's opinions if all they're going to be like is, well, they did this and that makes them stupid. I'll never watch them again because this is, and it's like, well, then you're missing the point. Yeah, each of these companies may do stuff we don't like, or there may be a superstar that does something you don't like, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, it's still wrestling. If you love this and love the show, the entertainment, the business, all that, you'll still find some positives in it. But man, people are just going like, I get the Attitude Era, there was the Monday Night Wars, but like, people are really hinging on these ratings right now between the Wednesday night stuff. And to be honest, to me as a wrestling fan, yeah, I mean, I get it. Financially, these companies care how they're doing, but at the end of the day, you got to remember AEW still trying to get their legs going. They're still very, very new.
I would say it's very similar to movies in that I've gone to movies. I don't like that I like the movie as a whole. There's some things I'm like, man, that was dopey. For example, one of my favorite movies. That's not my favorite movie. A movie that I went to was, you remember when The Bourne Identity. Who's that guy?
Matt Damon.
Yeah. When Matt Damon did a movie called The Martian. Do you remember that one?
I remember. I didn't see it, but
it was exceptionally long. It was exceptionally shot in red. Overall, I enjoyed it. I went with my son. I fell asleep for a large chunk of it, apparently, and woke up and watched the rest of it and was thoroughly entertained. And in watching the titles, they went through, and there was this group of people that were Asians that were helping. Didn't remember them even being in the movie. Didn't cause a problem for me though, because I enjoyed the whole thing.
Right.
And that's kind of the thing. It's like, and you're right, Dan. It's entertaining. There's personality development. What I see happening is that it's the way that AEW is doing things. And I'll tell you, I watched the Slammiversary show on Saturday for a number of reasons. One was just because I haven't watched Impact in at least a year. And so I wanted to see what was going on with them. I wanted to see who the surprise guests were. But all of these promotions do their personality development just a little bit different. The only one that is dictated, at least from what I can see, is WWE.
Right. Now, and that's the one thing that sucks for WWE. But the one thing that WWE does good is they do give their talent a fair amount of time on a microphone.
Right.
Where I feel like AEW and some of these other smaller companies let these people be their characters, but don't often always get, like, to me, I feel like AEW is lacking a lot of promos.
I would agree. But here's one of the problems. All right. And you know this as well as I do. When your task is to talk, and I see this all the time in comedy, all right? When your task is to talk and get a point across, sometimes you don't do enough. Sometimes you do too much. And I kind of feel like maybe one of the things that holds AEW back from doing the promos is because since they have free reign, those guys are not used to saying, okay, I need you to do a 3-minute promo. Boom, do it. And have them actually do 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And granted, they got people waving and doing all that stuff. But in a situation like they're doing, if you go over time, you fucked up the show.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you look at what they're doing too, though, and that's a good point. But the thing is, I think Dustin is great at what he does. Now, here's the other thing, though. How would I rank him on his promo skills in the world of wrestling, past and present? I mean, he's not up there. He's not his dad.
Yeah.
And Cody isn't either. He's great, but he isn't his dad. There was only one Dusty Rhodes and plus it was that time, it was that era, it just worked.
Yeah.
Would that have worked today? Who knows? But here's the thing. When you look at AEW, look at the guys who are still getting decent mic time. They are the people who have been around the block.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It is the Moxleys. It is the Jerichos. It is the Codys. It's the guys who have, but these new guys aren't getting that chance. And here's the thing, though. I'm not blaming that on like Dustin, and I'm not blaming it on AEW. My question is, they just may not be ready for it. But if that's the case, let's figure something out. Because I think one thing for me between the two shows, and I think at Extreme Rules, we saw a little bit of this with a couple of the matches, is I miss a real match. I miss the beginning. I miss a slow start. I miss the telling of the story. between these two people in the ring. AEW comes out. Don't get me wrong. I love them and I get into them and I have a blast because it is a different thing right now. But if you look at the template of what professional wrestling was from back in the day, you miss. I mean, I was watching some old stuff over the weekend while being laid out. And I mean, what did I watch? I watched, it was it Rick, or no, it was Rick Martel and Harley Race.
Oh my God.
AWA Super Cool. What they do in the Super Clash at the Dome?
Super Clash, probably, yeah.
I think it was 3. Yeah, MJF. You're right, Dan. MJF is definitely a guy, but you can tell MJF studied, man. He studied the great heels to get to where he's at. Where you got you look at a team like Private Party, amazing athletes. Could they do an old school match? I don't know. Are they great on a mic? Not awesome. So that's my thing is, I think eventually you're going to see a point in AEW where it's going to have to be like, listen, what we've been doing is great. And these matches where, and I hate to say it because I don't like categorizing them like this, but more often than not, comparing them to everybody else, their matches are a lot more full of spots than other matches. Tone that down. Tell the story. Revival's there now. Revival has the chance to slow that tag division down and really blend in old school and this new style where it's a lot of high spots and teamed up spots together. Revival has that old slow about. They can wear you down for 2 minutes in the middle of the ring in a headlock and make you believe they're squeezing the air out of you and you're not going to, because that's what's missing in these matches in AEW. No one's coming out and just going into this like, all right, off the top rope, blah, blah, blah. Like, get in there. Throw some hands, get into some moves, roll around, show the struggle, show the pain. You look at what Asuka and Sasha Banks did at Extreme Rules, and that was a freaking great match.
Yeah.
And it went both ways. It started out like, all right, cool. And they kind of got their way into it and hit the groove. And by the end, you didn't know who was going to win. You didn't know. I mean, and the ending was whatever. You can say whatever about I get it. Whatever. But again, too, me watching it, I didn't be like, I need to go to the internet and be really mad that Bailey won or that Sasha won because Bailey counted in. She's not a rebel. Blah. Instead, in my head, I'm like, now I kind of want to watch SmackDown to see the respect. Because again, too, back in the day when you couldn't go to the internet and bitch, you had to wait till the next week's show to find out. And that was the beauty, where now everybody has an opinion and it seems to be bleeding into people actually watching now. Because again, so many people were like, again, just that was the bad ending. And a lot of this has to do with everyone's hip to the business now. Again, it's kayfabe is dead. But people don't remember that, again, yeah, it's dead, but while watching it, you need to still keep it in your head that that's what it is. Otherwise, you shouldn't even be watching this.
I would say this, all right? And I agree with you 100%, with the exception of everybody bitching about bad endings. Because when they use bad endings too often and too regularly, that's a problem.
And I agree with that. But the reason why I agree with the reason why I'm just like, I'm not mad at how it ended, because we know where that's going. It's going to Sasha versus Bailey. And that's just another little thing that Bailey can be like, well, you only won because of me. If I didn't do that, you would have never won the title on your own. You need me. So, like, to me, I was totally,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That was great.
Which awesome because, her taping. Yeah, okay. So last night was Kyrie's last night. Then she's officially gone from WWE.
She is.
Yeah, I believe so. If not, one more week, depending on the tapings. But she physically this week she's gone. Kyrie-san, I think today.
Gotcha.
Actually done with WWE. Which is, it's sad, but I mean, she'll probably be happier. They weren't using her.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. You know what I mean? But yeah, with that Bailey match, that's what I figured. But yeah, I mean, the actual match was a really good match. It was a really good match.
It was.
I didn't expect a lot out of Bailey and Nikki Cross, but it was still a good match. And I was entertained. You know what I mean? And again, too, if a heel's gonna win, I don't mind it being a dirty finish.
Right, absolutely. That's
So-
what they're supposed to do.
Right.
But my whole point is, don't continually have somebody with a surprise roll up. That's just and
doing
and
that stuff
and-
is ridiculous. But I
and
mean,
if every third match that you have is no contest for whatever reason, then there's a problem with the writing and mentality, don't you think?
right. And you know, like you said, like the MVP thing, like it was, well, first of all, a little weird that I guess I haven't seen the official reason. I thought I read that it was because what's his name? Paulo Cruz has COVID.
Oh, that might be.
Is that not it though? I don't know.
Yeah.
I read something about he might have had COVID. I thought I saw another article saying the official reason was out, but I didn't get a chance to read it. So I guess I don't know. If anybody knows, or Dan, you know, let me know why MVP was out. But yeah, that was dumb. Like he's just gonna take the belt and be like, "Well, he ain't here, I win," and then no, whatever. Like,
well, so and here's the other part of that whole thing is, if that's the case, why doesn't Lashley beat the living shit out of him and take the belt himself?
well, and that's just another thing they're going to build to eventually too. Because
I mean,
although, am I right to say that who just won the 24/7 title on Raw?
I don't know. I might have fallen asleep.
Anybody watching can remind me?
I don't know.
I had to go off of highlights because I didn't watch last night, and it wasn't up on Hulu today for some reason.
I saw R-Truth carrying around a big old frying pan. And I can't remember if that was the pay-per-view or if that was Monday Night Raw, to be honest with you.
I thought I heard he lost it on Raw, and that Shelton Benjamin is, yes, correct. And Shelton has now joined the MVP stable, it sounds like.
Oh, good.
So, yeah.
Minnesota, I always love Shelton.
Hell yeah, Golden Gophers, baby. Dude, plus he's one of those guys that is so athletic, man. During the Money in the Bank matches when they were still on WrestleMania pay-per-views, he had some of the best spots in those matches.
Oh yeah,
that guy was doing some crazy stuff. To be honest, he should have had a way better run. They killed him when they started doing the whole mama. And
that was too bad.
It was just sad. You know, and the other thing too is they missed out on an opportunity because here's the thing, even if the baddest guy in the world, the meanest villain in the world, has people who work with him. The Joker had a team. The Joker worked with other villains. So they really missed out on letting Benjamin and Brock actually maybe team up.
When they were going to do that initially, when they teased that, man, I thought that was going to be the shit.
Yeah, and the tease was great. People enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And man, if they could have did that and had those two actually, like, I don't know, have him actually do something where he turns and officially joined Lesnar, but they did it at, like, you know, Minneapolis or St. Paul. At, like,
oh my God.
The TV wise with that crowd, it would have been so over.
And the reality is that most people realize in reality, if they never wanted to give up the title, they never would have had to. Mm-hmm. I mean, physically, there's nobody that could touch both of them together.
Right, exactly. So that's just another missed opportunity. But I mean, that's what the wrestling business is, though.
It is.
It's WWE. It's all of them. It's missed opportunities. And you can see that right now with Brian Cage being on AEW. That is a missed opportunity for Impact. And WWE being that he was there at one time. Yeah. But that's how this works. I mean, you see these people who have bounced all over until they finally just find their footing and it works at one spot. So, but yeah, man, what else was on Fight for the Fallen that was great? I mean, the Jericho and Orange Cassidy and him getting doused with the orange juice was great. Did you hear all the stuff, by the way? And this isn't even going to be with Fight for the Fallen, but did you see all the stuff with Jericho and Sebastian Bach online this night?
Oh, for God's sakes, yeah.
Oh, man, I'll tell you what, that Sebastian Bach, man, like, first of all, I thought he was Dave Mustaine. Like, when I first saw that he was talking all that, I was like, whatever, dude. You're the guy that just, like, used to be a Metallica and then quit before they got famous. And then I was like, oh, wait, no, you're not even that guy.
No.
The guy that sang 18 for Life, and that's the only song I know.
Yeah, they got a couple other ones, but yeah, he's a idiot. can't remember what the hell he was on, but yeah, my
He's
God.
done like some VH1 stuff, and he's done like some where they all come together. The guy was never great, though. You know what I mean? And okay, so let's be honest, because I love Chris Jericho and I love Fozzy. If I didn't like their music, I would definitely not pay to go to the cruise, because you're going to see them live multiple times. Like, if you hate Fozzy, don't go on the cruise. But I'm not going to be the first guy that raises my hand and says, like, dude, Chris Jericho has got a voice like a fucking angel. And when you see him live, it's, it's amazing. But here's the thing. In my experience, first of all, rock and roll shows or rock concerts, they're very hit or miss, because some of these singers in these rock bands, they can't do that shit live. They got to be in the studio where they get takes and a little bit of help. I did see that he sang a Skid Row song on his thing on Saturday, and again, it sounded good. It sounded just as good as Sebastian Bach. Was it amazing? No. No, it wasn't. But I mean, shit, you and I saw Paul McCartney together a few years ago, and that was still amazing. Like, not everything, Jericho's one of those guys that he's in a band. It's great. And there's the thing, rock music, a lot of bands can get away with not having the greatest singer in the world. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I think of Hoobastank. You remember those guys?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Famous for having great studio albums, but just shit live. The guy couldn't do the show live, and I saw them live. Another
great example is the owner of the NWA, Billy Corgan. Smashing Pumpkins suck ass live because he needs the studio, because otherwise he can't. I mean, and God love him, but I mean, I've got a bunch of soundboard recordings from him from back in the when they were hot, back in the early 90s, and man, it ain't good.
Yeah, dude, and that's the thing. And I'm not saying this to like down Jericho. What I'm saying is Sebastian Bach is no better than Jericho.
Oh, right.
And to say, because I guess now that Jericho did that on Saturday, have you seen that? Because he had initially challenged him to a sing off, and I guess because I guess they used to be friends. I don't know. And so, like, after he did the thing on Saturday, Sebastian Bach tweeted out like his text conversations with Jericho, and it was him texting Jericho like, "Come on, you effing pussy, come on, I'll do your sing off. Let's do your sing off. Why won't you text me back, you piece of shit? Like, go ahead and text me." And, like, Jericho just never responded. And it was just like, wow, man. Like, first of all, like, dude hit a chord with you, like, apparently, and then second of all, it's like, if you're really like. I'm hoping that like this just ends up being a work and they all end up just laughing about it. You know what I mean? Or something. Like, maybe he's like, it's all a joke, and like, hey, like Skid Row's coming on the boat or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. What if it gets announced that Skid Row's coming on the boat and they're going to do the sing off on the boat?
And that would be great. But if there is like legitimate heat though, like, what do you think's going to happen at a sing off? Because I could only imagine Sebastian Bach would be dumb enough to be like, I could take him. And like fail upon. And I mean, what Jericho's taken down, like he beat up Goldberg backstage apparently.
Oh yeah,
he went after Brock, like he wasn't scared of Brock.
He's not scared of anybody.
Like, Jericho ain't gonna back down. Like, and he'll tie you up, man. He'll hurt you.
That's his daddy, the hockey fighting. That's his daddy taught him how to hockey fight. He don't
hockey fight. He went through New Japan back in the day, where like that was a thing. Not saying
he went through the dungeon too, didn't he?
I don't remember if he went through the Heart Dungeon at all. I would have to.
I thought he did.
He may have gone like once or twice. I don't think he was initially trained.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong though. I feel like there'd be more reference to that than I remember. But I know he went through a lot of. I think in Japan.
Yeah,
that was back in the days when going through training in Japan was a treat in itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was anyways crazy to see that him and some has-been 80s hair metal band Rockstar guy are like getting into it. It's hilarious. But yes, it would be even better if this is all work, and next thing you know, Skid Row is going to be on the boat. He says trained by Bruce Hart. So I guess that counts. I don't know. Does it count? I feel like if you got trained in the dungeon and you say you got trained,
I think it counts because it's probably the same. Although it's not like having the old man stretch you, you're still getting the hell pounded out of you down in there.
Right.
I gotta think. Hey, so let's do this. Let's just touch on Slammiversary real quick, like.
Yeah, why don't you run over the big debuts? Because there's a few returns and a few debuts.
So my gosh. So let me find it. So when the Rascals have their big open challenge, everybody thought, oh well, that's where the Good Brothers are going to come out, but it wasn't. It was actually Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin.
Yeah, the Motor City Machine Guns, right?
Yep. And
the weird thing about the Gallows and Anderson thing is everybody was like, they're going to show up at Slammiversary.
They announced it on Saturday morning.
They announced it at midnight on that Saturday.
Oh, was it midnight?
Yeah, like at midnight, I guess they put that video out. So it was like, you knew they were signed before that show even happened.
Yeah.
So that was kind of funny because to me, it was like, I get it, but like, it still would have been cool to have them come out at the show as the
surprise. Yeah. Then of course, Moose had his rant about his championship that he found in the box somewhere, and Tommy Dreamer came out to fight him. Here's the thing. It was okay. It's Tommy Dreamer. Man, Tommy Dreamer's close to my age.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's like 5 years younger than me. So, it was okay, but it wasn't the best. And part of that's because, Tommy will do what he can, but he just didn't have it all. Then you had your Knockouts Gauntlet match that was really, to be honest, very kind of rushed.
I feel like they added some participants to that didn't need to be added. Like I seen Katie Forbes came out.
Yeah. Wow. There was actually 14 involved in that match, which just seemed like way too much because they were sending them out after a minute. They couldn't really do anything. Yeah.
Yeah, that's too many people in a gauntlet match.
Yeah. But ultimately, even though it wasn't the best match, ultimately Kylie Ray won.
Well, that's why I can't get mad at it.
Yeah.
Good match.
Yeah. So you get what you want out of that. Because they'll obviously start building her up. X Division Championship, Willie Mack versus Chris Bay. To be honest, I don't think I watched that because I think I might have fallen asleep. Nothing against them. I just fell asleep. Shamrock and Callahan, mortal enemies against the North. The North comes out winning. It was a good match. Nothing groundbreaking, nothing that made me say, oh my God, I got to see that. I got to say that what I felt like the best match of the entire night was, and I can't believe I'm saying it, but it was the women's match between Jordan Grace and Deonna Purrazzo.
Oh, that is,
dude, it was really, really good. Jordan Grace, if you're familiar, very, very strong. Deonna Purrazzo, you've seen her on WWE. She's done a lot of stuff, but
she's way better than what WWE put her out to be.
Oh my God, yes. And she comes out on top to win the championship, which was to me really surprising. But it was a very good match. I love the psychology.
If they're going to maybe push Jordan Ann towards the men's division.
Yeah, exactly. I think what they're going to do is maybe have her do the stuff that Tessa was doing. And then you have the 5-way elimination match, and of course it was teased that a former world champion is going to come and be involved. Well, initially it's Rich Swann, who has been out from ankle injury, and to be honest, when he came out, I was kind of disappointed.
Oh yeah.
See,
that one thing I picked up from Slammiversary is like the few debuts, like none of them were like actually in a match or like got involved really.
Well, now Eric Young did come in and turn the 4-way into a 5-way.
And yeah, true. But I don't count that as a debut because he's returning.
Absolutely. But as far as the rest of them, we know Heath Miller came out, did a little bit of a speech, and
baby.
Yeah, and I love the fact that Heath Miller is there because I mean he looked like a badass. He sounded like a badass, and I'm all for that.
I think he'll do great. I do think he would have. I think he'd get more out of being in AEW.
I agree.
And that's not to say he may not eventually end up there too.
But here's the thing too. I think at this point, I mean, I think for him, if you really think about it, he will probably be able to do himself better by being a big fish in a small pond over at Impact and then coming over to AEW after. If that makes any sense, to have him build up something, because let's be honest, most people don't remember anything but 3MB with him at WWE, and if we're honest, that's not very strong. So my if it was me and I was advising him, come on, dude.
Yes.
If it was me, I would say yes. Go over to Impact, work on the real character, and then go to AEW for a bigger. Anyway, they'd been teasing the Good Brothers the whole time, having somebody out in the parking lot waiting for their limo to come up and blah, which was a bit hokey. But they came out at the end when oh gosh, I should look it up, but I can't now. The two were going to beat the hell out of Eddie Edwards, and they came back out and defended him, stood with him. So that was interesting and nice. And then at the very end, EC3 has a little video package at the end, very similar to what Moxley had when he left. But there's just the three on the back of the wall. He looks at the camera, has his drink in his hand, throws it against the wall, and just stares. And to me, that was like, I mean, out of all of them, his was the weakest.
My thing with Impact, I guess, is after seeing how they did all of it, like, the easy part should have been finding ways to debut these guys in a nice, surprising way, and it doesn't feel like they did that.
No, I agree.
Like as soon as they signed them, it was just like, woo, we got them. And it's like, okay, now keep it quiet and do something with them to really make them pop on your biggest pay-per-view of the year, because Slammiversary is the biggest pay-per-view of the year for Impact. And I just feel like they didn't. Like, you blew the like Carl and Gallows did theirs at midnight. That was weird. EC3 was a vignette at the end of the show.
Yeah.
It just comes out and cuts a promo and then just like gets into it with one dude. Like,
yeah.
Why didn't you have him come out, have Rhino and him do something? Why didn't you have Anderson and Gallows come out and do something and make it like, oh my God, or like you had the Motor City Machine Guns come out and that's a big, like, huge surprise and whatever. And then it should have been them like came out after, or after that match should have been them coming out. I don't know. It just feels like they missed the boat.
I would agree with you. And here's the thing. I mean, obviously, if anybody was following along, there were no real surprises.
No,
and it was just like, all right, we know you're coming. Here you are. For me, I'll just say the biggest thing for me was the women's championship match, because A, I was surprised that Deonna Purrazzo won, but B, I was really surprised at how good it was.
I wonder how long they'll let Deonna hold the title. And the reason I say that is I feel like Kylie is going to get a push.
Well, I think she will ultimately, but I think she can't, I wouldn't assume that she's just a placeholder.
I don't know. We'll see. We will see. A couple names that we didn't see sign anywhere that kind of like, Kurt Hawkins and Matt Cardona or Zack Ryder. Though he still released some video, I guess, with new gear. I don't know what those guys really have going on. It almost feels like they might do their own thing, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Obviously nothing with Rusev, although he has COVID. So who knows? That could have been maybe one major surprise that got ruined. I don't know.
Yeah.
Other than that, not a lot of big names. No way, Jose.
No way going to wrestle.
We got rid of the afro.
Oh, we did.
And I almost want to say I thought he signed with Impact, or his.
Oh,
I could be wrong. But yeah, otherwise that's kind of what we heard.
But anyway, I mean,
a lot of big shocking things, like you said.
Yeah, and I'll say this: for $40, it was a little. It was not, to me. It was not worth $40. It was. I would have been happier to pay like 29. But
I think that is the other thing. Sometimes like Impact and ROH, it's like, hey man, no one's paying $50 for your paper.
Well, dude, that's the thing. It's like. I mean, if I'm honest, and I love AEW, I find it hard sometimes to pay $50 to watch a pay-per-view.
If they were doing a WWE pay-per-view schedule where it was monthly, yeah, it would definitely
never do it.
The fact that they go every 3 months makes it easier for me to do it.
But having said that I spent $40 on Slammiversary and was, to be honest, I was entertained by that show. And I have the WWE Network, and pretty disappointed by Extreme Rules.
To be real honest, I thought it was an all right show. The only disappointments were the Eye for an Eye and the Swamp. Those to me were really the only two disappointments. You take those two out, put them in as just a regular good match, that would have been a really good show. It really would have. I think the fact that they put so much attention on those two,
that might be.
And oh my god, this Swamp match, and everybody knew the Swamp match was going to be cinematic.
And suck.
Well, then it left that desire of so much more too, which that was the thing with that match. It very much under-delivered.
Yeah.
Location wise, they used like 2 spots of wherever they were in Florida. I don't
on the land and on the water.
Well, that's just it. Like they were on the little road at the track,
yeah,
and then they were also on the dock, and that was it. First of all, if you're on a swamp, I'm assuming there's land. You probably could have done more.
I will say that
more stuff about that. I just can't get into it.
I'm
now. As far as like the swamp land and all that kind of stuff and where they were. And I don't know if any of that's come out, so that's why I'm not going to say anything about it right now.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I'll tell you what I had known about that match going into watching the show and then seeing it.
Yeah.
And this is what I knew, and I knew some stuff about it before it happened. Super disappointed. Very much felt like they just did not do what they could have done.
Yeah.
There could have been way more involved. There could have been more action. It felt very dark.
It was too dark.
Like, how was there no fire involved? Blow something up.
For me, basically they want to redo the Undertaker and AJ. That's what they wanted to do.
Well, that's what every cinematic match is going to be. It's going
in there, and it's super dark because you can hide a lot of shit in the dark. But there was I mean, God, there was nothing to it. And when it was over, I was like, so what is this?
Yeah, and the talk of that match is that Bray Wyatt was heavily involved. A lot of it was his brainstorm. A lot of it was him.
Yeah.
What I think the problem was with this, and I could be off, but he seems to be a guy very much into the horror genre of film, because it had a very much Jason vibe.
Yeah.
Water, very much like Halloween. And I think the problem with that is I think he was trying to kind of relive like a horror movie. But the thing is, in a horror movie, people are getting brutally killed.
Yeah.
So that fear and that suspense translates way more than you had 2 random people beating up Braun. You had the fake Sister Abigail that was Alexa Bliss. You had the snake, which, okay. Again, it was just things that it's like, unless you're going to like stab him in the back and he's like got to fight you off with a freaking knife in his back, these horror vibes aren't going to translate well into you two just wrestling around and then one gets pulled in the water and disappears.
And therein lies the problem and difference between what The Undertaker and AJ did and this. Because can you tell me the last time you went to a horror movie that was PG-13 that you thought was worth a shit?
Yeah, that's true too. There's just
you can't. It's and that's unfortunate because somebody said Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And they probably had to. I mean, and let's be honest, he probably had other stuff planned and had to, and then to back it down.
I'm almost curious too to see how much got cut out, maybe due to time restraints.
That might be too.
The thing too that was weird about that show is you had the whole MVP thing get scratched, that match.
Yeah,
I feel like who got that extra time? I feel like it was. Well, I feel like Sasha and Asuka definitely got some good time.
Sasha and Asuka got more time. I think Ziggler and McIntyre got more time.
So I wonder, like, how much got cut out that could have maybe stayed in, or they could. I don't know. And I'm sure more about that match will come out in the next week. But again, it was high hopes. It didn't deliver.
Another thing I want to mention, though, about it was that I was very happy that Cesaro and Nakamura won the tag titles.
Yeah, that was, it was one of those things, too, where it's like, how many times can you just keep going to that New Day well?
Yeah.
I get it. And they're awesome. And I honestly hope they don't ever break up. It'd be nice to see them stay the New Day and do their singles stuff or whatever. Because the other thing is Big E definitely deserves a singles run with some titles in it. He definitely does. Anybody who disagrees with that, I don't know what's wrong with you. But Big E definitely deserves that. And to be honest, Xavier at some point could have his own run too. He's a very talented guy. He's a great mouthpiece. He's someone that can be a good head for the business as well, PR wise. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Look what he's done with his own YouTube channel that now WWE heavily. I mean, they're involved now. They've got.
Oh yeah.
Whatever. But
the other thing, and you and I talked about this after because I didn't get to start watching it right away when it came on. I had to go back and watch from the beginning. But so I got done a little bit late. I was kind of surprised that it was short compared to what I was expecting.
It didn't. The only reason I wasn't surprised by that is because I remember Money in the Bank and how that was about 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
and it just didn't feel. I don't know. Well, who knows what else they're taping during that day? So and again, with no live audience, you don't have the pressure of people buying actual tickets to be there to say, we didn't pay $300 to sit here for 2 hours.
Right.
Like, give us more. So I think they can get away with that right now. Well, it'll be interesting to see when they start doing stuff with crowds again, if their pay-per-views still hit that 2.5 hour mark, or if they'll start hitting 3 a little over again. But I even told my nephew who was here watching it, I was like, this is gonna, when we were kind of watching where it was at about like 7:45, I looked at the clock and I saw where it was, and I was like, dude, this is gonna be done by 8:30. Like, it's easy. Unless they really went balls to the walls with that cinematic match, the swamp match, and really like gave it like a half hour, I was like, this thing's done. Like, this isn't shaping up to be a long pay-per-view. But I was very much into the Cesaro and Shinsuke win, and I think that's gonna be a fun team. It's just nice to see those guys get some gold too. They deserve that. Nikki Cross and Bailey was good. It was better than what I thought it was going to be. I didn't have high hopes for it. So, it was a good match. Are we missing
dirty win? But that's okay.
Yeah, dirty win. That's all right. But it kind of felt like they're building something too, because that weird spot with Nikki Cross, the Kabuki Warriors, and Alexa at the beginning of that match, right before she walked out, and then all of a sudden Kyrie just, even if you lose, we'll still be your friends, in that awkward moment, and then Alexa finally just being like, oh, but you're gonna win. Like, I don't know, it made it feel like they were kind of like building something there. Like, maybe the end is near for Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, which I hate. I think they're great. Does this mean we're going to see Alexa Bliss actually take on anything with the Wyatt stuff? Absolutely not. I don't think so.
No, she's too valuable on her own.
Yeah, that's just it. They would be hurting her by inserting her in that.
Now, they could go back to 2 years ago and put Liv Morgan in there and probably would be just fine.
Well, I mean, but now it's just, you can do it, but all people are going to say is, well, you should have just done. We told you to do it. And it's like,
everybody will bitch.
But that's just it. it makes you really wonder, man, because I remember going to that TLC a few years ago where it was supposed to be Bray Wyatt versus the Demon, and Sister Abigail was supposed to debut.
Yeah.
And then that was when it was Bray and Roman Reigns, I believe, got the mumps or some crap that week and got pulled off because it ended up being the Shield, but Kurt Angle.
Oh yeah, that's right.
From that night. And then because this was Asuka's main roster debut too. This was her first review on the main roster. She fought Emma, who then was released right after that match, which again, another waste of a great talent. I was really hoping AEW would snag Tenille, and I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet.
Well, she was in there for that one-off, and I thought they would keep her.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. So, yeah, it's weird. But yeah, man, I don't. Yeah. Either way, though, it felt really like it could have been a great show without those two. Because the eye for the eye match, because we're getting ready to end up.
Yeah.
So the eye for the eye match, to be honest, wasn't a horrible match. It's just everybody knew something was coming, and that the ending was going to be pretty ridiculous. Now, I'll give them credit; it did not look CGI.
No, because I think they changed their mind after everybody had talked about it, but it was certainly fake.
100% fake.
I mean, it's like, oh look, he's got a white ping pong ball in his gloves. The thing that I was not particularly into with the whole thing was how they started with the I'm going to use the pliers on his eye. I'm going to get one. It's like, what the? I mean, come on, man. This is and you and I have talked about this. It's 2 steps short of, well, why doesn't somebody just bring a gun? And shoot him in the eyeball. I mean, it's getting to the point where it's ridiculous to me. I mean, it's like I can't even explain how ludicrous the whole concept is. Now, if you've got a deal where the only thing you can do is use your hands, maybe I'm more on board with it. Maybe it's a lot of eye gouging with the thumb, but when we've got all these implements. It's like, well, I just don't. I don't understand it.
I think I don't. With it is, I wish they would have used it.
Well, yeah, if they were going to do it, they should have done it.
They just went to the well and used the stupid stairs again.
See, the two things that I am reminded of. Number one is when Triple H yanked the nose ring from Batista. I was like, that's good. And then when Randy Orton was pulling on the thing of Jeff Hardy, I'm like, dude, I'm for that stuff. But this kind of garbage that they're doing is like, it's not even.
Well, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier in the show, where you lose that like principles of what basic pro wrestling is.
Yeah.
It's telling a story. So your person who's being injured has to be able to legitimately sell whatever this injury is that happened to them to further tell the story of this match. That isn't something Ray can do when he's trying to partially show, but also kind of hide this obviously fake eyeball.
Yeah.
The other thing too, could have done without the puking. Just seemed. Yeah. The other thing too is if I'm to believe that he's such a heel that he's. Because that's the other thing too. He's a heel. Heel is not supposed. He should be celebrating that he popped his eye out. He shouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, it's out. Like what? Like Piper would have been like, "Listen here, you little bitch." You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
How? Like that isn't what you do as a heel. And I get that this isn't the 70s, 80s, and 90s, but again, you're starting to get away from the things that made professional wrestling what it was. So I agree. And I think the biggest thing with the eye for the eye match is we all knew it was going to have a weird and probably dumb ending because it was an eye for the eye match.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing with that whole match is they just missed the boat on Dominic again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't seen Raw. So if they furthered any storylines with Dominic in this whole situation on Monday Night Raw, I've yet to see that. So I'm talking without knowing that. But as far as just the golden opportunity they had to let Dominic turn, join Seth Rollins, and stand over his dad, who's missing an eye. Like, come on, that's just great. You're trying to make money. You're trying to get people to watch your shows, because every week WWE, you're losing viewers every week, and it's been constant for a few years now.
Yeah,
obviously something needs to change. You can't just keep being like, well, that's just not what it used to be. Give Rollins a good guy look by being, and that's just it. Yeah, like you make him feel like he has a heart now, where it's like, no, Rollins doesn't. But that's just it. He don't have a heart. Otherwise, he would have never done it. He would have never did it in the first. Like, he'll be a heel, man.
When it comes to character development, it just becomes very confusing, and sort of like, I mean, the thing for me is it's like pointless, and I like they do this with a lot of the talent now, where in WWE specifically, I'm talking about, where they're either a face with heel tendencies or a heel with face tendencies, and neither, I mean, honestly, neither of that works for me real well. You know,
the thing is that you get like those Stone Cold Steve Austins, those anti-hero heat.
But see, that's a totally different thing,
right? And that's just it, though. But that's Vince doesn't realize that, and he's just hoping mud sticks to the wall.
Yeah, you're right.
You're that guy, but we could probably get people to like you. Like, no, it works for certain people. The Rock had natural heat, and he turned that into heel gold, which then turned into he became the biggest face because of it.
Yeah,
Austin wasn't pandering to the crowd. People just liked what he was doing and went with it, but he wasn't sitting there begging them to cheer him or whatever. He was just being Stone Cold, and that was,
right.
Shawn Michaels was a guy that him being a dick eventually started to win people over.
Yeah,
because he started being kind of the cocky funny when they started DX, and even before that, because he was kind of big then too. He was edgy when he had his whole thing with Bret Hart. He was the edgy one, even though he was the heel. He was the edgy one, and at that time, that's when those generations were switching. So that's why it worked. So here, no, the way you've been giving Rollins on Monday Night Raw these last couple months, that is a bad guy.
Yeah.
So now have him actually show heart and sympathy because, oh my God, I made Rey Mysterio's eye pop out, even though 3 weeks ago you tried to cram his eye into that step and make him go blind. So really, what's the difference here? You know what I mean? Like, it's those little things that they don't. And again, we're not going to see major changes on programming for WWE until Vince is gone. This is known.
No.
But overall, though, you take the ending to that match, you take the swamp match away. And honestly, that's a pretty decent pay-per-view, I'd say.
Yeah. I mean, I guess for me, in watching Slammiversary and that both, I want to say like Slammiversary was B- for me, even though the returns and surprises were not really handled well. I'm gonna go B- because the wrestling was pretty good. And I'm gonna say probably C+ for Extreme Rules for me anyway, overall, because I'm not going to take those things out. They put them on the show and took up time.
Most definitely. Yeah, I agree. You got to, overall, you got to think of that when you're going to try to grade a pay-per-view. But, but for anybody, who are on one or the other trains, whatever. At the end of the week, they both gave us entertainment, and I was
absolutely
so
absolutely. They both got my money, and that's that's the important thing,
right? So now at this point, because Fight for the Fallen's over, so I believe for WWE SummerSlam is next, and for AEW it would be All Out,
I think,
September. Which is supposed to be in Chicago. Let's be real honest. I'm probably sure that announcement's coming in the next week or two that it's not going to be in Chicago. And that it'll probably just be at Daly's place. And Impact, I'm not sure because they just had their biggest show of the year. So I don't know what's next for them. But so those are your two big pay-per-views coming your way. Next is going to be SummerSlam. All Out SummerSlam, originally supposed to be in Boston, now going to be at the Performance Center. I don't know, man. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, it's all...
SummerSlam is one of the big four. It's one of the ones that usually something big will happen at it.
It's all good. We'll see. I mean, I expect some kind of a surprise, but I mean, there's a long way before that show starts. So let's do cleanup. First of all, Dan, thank you so much for watching. I mean, seriously, man, you're my hero. And right now, from the looks of it, you, being the only one who actually submitted a video, you stand a real good chance of winning our contest. So that's awesome. We're taking submissions till the 31st. So there's 10 more days left before we close that out. But right now, Dan, keep your mouth shut. Don't tell anybody else. McIntyre with Ziggler rematch. That's right. That's coming up next week. And that's an interesting one too, because McIntyre said no, and Dolph said, I'll do anything. And so now the tables are turned. It's a stipulation of McIntyre's choice, which he will not reveal until right before the match, which is a bit hokey to me. But I mean, it's, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Yeah, but how much you want to bet his whole thing is when he does it is going to be like, here's my stipulation for the match. You just can't leave. You know what I mean? Like, it'll be a normal match, but it'll be just something to where he can't just like weasel away.
You know what? I mean, if they really wanted to please me, it would be, all right, career versus career.
Well, have they done a cage match in the Performance Center?
I don't think so. I don't know if they can.
Might see the first one.
It would be interesting. But anyway, so there's that. What do you have coming up? I saw you had a show with Wes last week. Yes.
Yeah, we did a show on Thursday. You can find that on YouTube, the Briscoe and Big Ace show on YouTube. Is
that the one with Red Velvet?
No, couldn't make it. So we ended up just doing just him and I. We'll get her back on down the road here, but yeah, it just didn't work out. So yeah, I don't know when our next show is going to be honest. Probably like this week, Thursday or Friday, but I'm not real sure on that one yet. Not sure if we'll have any guests or not on that as well. So, but
very
yeah,
good.
You can just go on YouTube, the Briscoe and Big A show, as well as Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff, and you'll know when the next show is on there.
Excellent. Okay, for me, nothing tomorrow, but Thursday we have the match game, and if you haven't watched us play the match game, we get some local celebrities from the Rochester, Minnesota area, along with some comics, and we basically play the match game from the 70s. It's a lot of fun. Tons of people watch it. You can play along. I mean, we have a blast doing that. And then on Friday, we have on the Goonies Comedy Club page as well. We've got actually it's not, but we've got a online comedy show, and we've got 2 headliners, 2 feature acts that were scheduled to perform there, but we're not able to because it's just not opened up yet. We're going to do a show online. Tickets are $5, and we will be streaming it to a private YouTube channel. So if you want to watch that, get a hold of me, let me know, and I'll give you the information on how you can get a ticket. I'll probably pop it up wherever else too. Other than that, my next live comedy show, I believe, is August 8th. And it's a fundraiser. Do you remember Chris Claviter, Dave, at all?
The name sounds familiar.
Chris Claviter is running for mayor of Burnsville, Minnesota. And so there is a group of us that he has conspired with to do a fundraiser, a comedy fundraiser for him, I think, unless of course things go goofy again. And on August 30th, I'll be a scant, I don't know, what is it, 3.5, 4 hours from you, Dan. I'll be up at the casino, the Island Casino in Hammer's, Michigan. That's just outside of Escanaba. about an hour or so, hour and a half north of Green Bay, something like that. But I'll be there on August 30th. That's a Sunday night. And so I'm still doing a little bit of stuff, but not much. So look on my website, see where I'm at, if I'm at. And otherwise, we will see you all on next week, Tuesday, for another. Oh, we appreciate it, Dan. You know,
brother, keep it going, man.
Anything you can do, we appreciate, and you know it. And we will definitely buy you free drinks that don't cost us shit on the cruise. That's it. That's a beautiful thing about being on that cruise, where everybody gets a drink package, right?
I know.
Let me buy you a drink. Yeah, that's gonna be wicked. Anyway, all right, Danny boy, thank you so much for watching. Everybody else, thank you so much for watching. And Big Ace, we'll see you next week, buddy. Take care. All right. Oh, I should be ready to go, but I'm not.